Alright, so we talked about censorship an awful lot on this channel. Probably my best video was when I actually had an interview with Owen Schroyer from InfoWars. That was fantastic. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link at the end of the video to go watch it. It's the best video I've done regarding censorship and what we face. I've explained this before, but not directly in terms. You see, there is something that we call the Big Three. In media, it refers to the Big Three networks that essentially controls all media, all the fake news, what you see, all that kind of shit. And the upsetting thing is, and I think most people don't realize this because it's been a long time, is that when we all came to the internet, all of us, and we started using websites like YouTube, at first, YouTube was this amazing place for us to, bypass the higher-ups, right? We could speak our mind on what we see on TV without the people from TV trying to shut us down. YouTube was that a long time ago, hence why it's called YouTube, because it was about you. Remember when YouTube had their subtitle slogan, broadcast yourself? And then when they became Nazi tube, they took the subtitle away because they don't want you to know that they were originally meant for you to broadcast yourself. The sad thing is, too, the Big Three still exist, despite the fact that the mainstream media is dying, which we are very happy about. That doesn't mean that the Big Three is dying. They've just been replaced. They've gone from being the mainstream media to Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. They are the new Big Three. We all came to the internet to avoid censorship, and for years we were, and now we're being censored more than ever because YouTube works with the mainstream media now. As I've mentioned in past videos, YouTube gave the mainstream media $30 million just for the sole purpose of allowing the media to go from TV to YouTube so they can be seen there too. But over the past few years, we've all been fighting back against the mainstream media and censorship as a whole. And for the first time ever, Trump held what is called a social media summit. It's the first one in history, and I really, really respect Trump for doing this. So thank you, Trump. It allowed people on YouTube, like myself, who want to spread real news and debunk fake news, to actually have a spot in the White House and have a voice, make comments, ask questions. Tons of people went, including people like Mark Dice and James O'Keefe. Side note, I love James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. James and everybody that works for you, you guys are awesome. You guys, if you ever see this video, I've made videos mentioning James O'Keefe in the past. I mentioned that I would absolutely love to work for him. God, if I lived in the US, I totally would apply for a job with you. He actually knows who I am. There's a video about that too on my channel, because my friend and patron Jacob Martin actually met him and told him about me, so that was awesome. But I love what James O'Keefe has done. You know, the mainstream media and YouTube hates him, of course, because he tells the truth. But his investigations have shown so much. He does these undercover investigations, exploiting and exposing websites like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Google, exposing them for the liars that they are, the censorship Nazis that they are, the bias that they have, and he's done a fantastic job. But of course, he's been censored, he's been sued, he's been lied about, he's had his videos taken down, he's been called a conspiracy theorist. But the thing is, those are all the things you face when you tell the truth, because that's the world we live in. But for those of us who actually understand facts and truth, we love James O'Keefe. What he's done has been fantastic. And one of his most recent investigations was into Google themselves, about how they switched the algorithm to autofill in, the auto search results. They actually pre-plan in what they want to put in there. Like, see, you'd think, if you're stupid and believe in what Google says, that the autofill is just autofilling in things that most people type in. But it's actually not. They autofill in what they want you to look up. And that's what he exposed. And how does this relate to the social media summit? Well, because Trump actually mentioned it. That was great. James, I really hope that you're happy about that happening to you. James was in the audience, and Trump looked at James O'Keefe and said, you know, you're good, we love your investigations. And he said that, oh, you know, people say that James O'Keefe is a conspiracy theorist. No, he's not. He's a truth teller. And he damn well is. James O'Keefe and Project Veritas, we love you. But the point is that at the social media summit, everybody has been the chance to been given a voice. All the people across social media who want to tell the truth, they've been given a voice. And what was great is that in Mark Dice's recent video, he pointed out that Trump actually took the mainstream media out of the front seats, allowed the YouTubers to sit down, and made the mainstream media sit at the back of the room. And that was fantastic, because that's what they deserve. You know what's great too is that Trump and his administration made sure to only invite people who aren't, like, let's say, controversial. He didn't invite, like, the really crazy people, and by crazy people, I mean the people who actually deliberately try and go over the top, the people who kind of, like, yell or have a lot of, like, controversies and all that kind of stuff. Which is why people like Alex Jones and Milo Yiannopoulos were not there, because I guess he thought maybe they would cause some chaos. And that's not to say they cause chaos wherever they go, but they are the more, like, let's say, loudmouths of the truth tellers. But before I move on, there is an article that I'll link down below proving that the reason why people like Milo and Alex Jones weren't there is not because he doesn't like them or anything, but apparently he wants to meet with them separately at a later date so they can have a more intimate conversation. I guess because Alex Jones and InfoWars had a very big part of getting Trump elected, so he wants to kind of talk to them separately, but they actually are going to be speaking with him at a later date. They just weren't at the summit. But a part of me does think that they also weren't there because they didn't want to they didn't want to cause any commotion with the more loudmouth people. Like James O'Keefe is a very, like, subtle guy. Mark Dice is also pretty subtle. There's a bunch of other people there, but they're also kind of subtle. But then you have, like, the loudmouth, you know, like Milo, Alex Jones, Steven Crowder, that kind of stuff, so that's why they weren't there. At least that's what I think. But the point is, it was great that they were all there and Trump was giving them a voice to speak, and that's the voice that they never had before. This entire thing as a whole was a very, very big leap for YouTubers as opposed to the disgusting, corrupt mainstream media, giving us a voice, tearing them down, and it makes me feel like that we may actually one day win this war, despite the fact that the mainstream media, you know, Hollywood, all the big tech websites, they're all working together. But yet all of the small people who just, you know, make videos in their kitchen, we are actually kind of sort of winning. I mean, at least the majority of people these days does in fact get their news from sources that they find on YouTube, because most people don't even really watch TV anymore. But, you know, the mainstream media knows that, hence why they were given $30 million by YouTube to upload their videos to YouTube. And you know what's the most pathetic thing about that? Despite the fact that the Trump administration went out of their way to not invite any of the loudmouths, part of the reason for doing that was because they were trying to avoid the mainstream media and the SJWs from saying, oh, there he is inviting all of the fucking Nazis and shit. Because, you know, they think that people like Alex Jones and Milo and Ben Shapiro are Nazis, right? So he didn't invite those people to avoid that shit. So he invited all the kind of, you know, calmer people, the people who just rely on facts and are not trying to, like, be insulting or loud or whatever, like James O'Keefe and Mark Dice and all them. And what's funny is that since these fucking idiots are so goddamn sensitive, even though they weren't there, the mainstream media still decided to write articles about, oh, Trump just invited all the fucking far-right Nazis. James O'Keefe is a fucking far-right Nazi? Like, how fucking stupid. Trump went out of his way, in his administration, went out of their way to avoid articles like that, and they still happened. But then again, we can expect that, because as I explained in my video about that, the mainstream media and SJWs genuinely believe that anybody who's right-wing is automatically a Nazi just because they're right-wing. Even somebody as calm and respectful as James O'Keefe, a man who, like, never swears, who never insults anybody, who never yells, who never, like, protests, like, Out of all the right-wingers who, like, do these kinds of, like, videos online, I can't think of anybody who's more, like, calm and collected and just there for facts than Project Veritas. And we still have these fucking mainstream media idiots going, oh, Trump invited all the fucking Nazis to the summit. Ah, fuck you. That's why Trump and his administration shouldn't have even bothered going easy. He should have fucking brought Alex Jones on fucking stage with him, for fuck's sakes. As far as I'm concerned, that would have been better, because the mainstream media would have said the exact same thing if he did. He should have had a fucking party. He should have brought fucking Alex Jones, Caitlyn Bennett, Millie Weaver, Owen Schroyer, Paul Joseph Watson up to the fucking podium and had a party and goes, hey guys, tell the whole world why you're the best. Just to put it out there, I don't support everything that people who work for InfoWars say, but I'm just saying that would have been funny if it actually happened. Anyway, fuck the media. But I am happy about this summit. I'm happy Trump did it. It gave people a chance to finally have a voice against censorship, and I feel like this is one of the first steps to actually winning this war. Oh, and one more thing. A lot of people are saying that Trump only did this because he wanted to have all the people who support him there, I guess to make himself feel all big and braggy and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that that's not true to an extent, but the thing is, whether if you believe that or not, and whether if you're right or not, he did invite people who genuinely care about facts. And at the end of the day, that and the media being pissed off is all that really matters. So, I'm glad the social media summit happened. It's a great leap against big tech and mainstream media. And I hope all these fucking losers end up losing. And I hope we win. See ya.